everybody, and welcome to another episode of Metaphysical Minds. This is your host, Shay Parker, and I am back with two of our expert guests. We are doing a follow-up episode, actually, to an episode we did a couple of weeks ago, but today's topic is all about angels, and we are welcoming back our two expert guests. We have Jeannie Crescenzo with us and Tiffany Powers. Say hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hey. There they are. Let me get their names up there for you, just so you know which one's which. All right. We don't want to get any confusion out there as to who's who. Folks, if you're just now tuning in to Metaphysical Minds, I'm going to give you a brief little recap. Basically, what we do on this show is we're an offshoot of bestamericanpsychics.com. That is a directory on which these two ladies are experts. They are both professional psychics and or psychic mediums. You can read their bios directly. We'll post their links in the comments here. But the premise of bestamericanpsychics.com is a professional directory of psychics that are tested and proven as professional, ethical, accurate, and so much more. We actually do background checks on them. They really have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops in order to make it to the site because we don't allow just anybody on. We are an elite boutique kind of directory. So the fact that these two ladies sitting here with us are on bestamericanpsychics.com means that they passed all of our tests with two thumbs up for sure. So as we're discussing the topic of angels throughout this show today, we may be discussing things like you may hear the words psychic or spirit or, intuition or guides or whatever. And if you have any more questions about what we're talking about, you can certainly contact either one of these ladies directly, or you can ask us questions right in the comments. Now, just a little bit of admin stuff. If you are interested in what you're hearing and you like the show, if you type spirit, just the word spirit, in the comments, then you will automatically subscribe to future shows. You can also catch this show in replay version. If you missed any of it, you can go back to it and watch it. So we've got a couple of other things that we can cover, but we'll get to that later. I just want to jump right in because we've only got about 40 minutes for the show today. So we're going to jump in to picking up sort of where we left off with the topic of angels. All about angels, as a matter of fact. And we do have some questions from both from the show 2 weeks ago, as well as we've got some more questions that we came up with on our own. So, hey, Wafa's joining us today so far. And that's another thing, guys. If you're out there listening, give us a shout out. Tell us your name and tell us where you're from. We'd love to interact with you throughout the show. So, without further ado, we're going to jump on in and start with our questions. Let me go through these and see kind of what would be a great place to start. I'll tell you what. Why don't we start with what kind of angels are there out there? And for this question, I'm actually going to go to Jeannie. I think it's a great way to kind of open the show, knowing the different kinds of angels that we encounter every single day, whether we know it or not. So, Jeannie, jump on in. Tell us what kind of angels are out there.
There are a lot of different kinds of angels, and there's a lot of different types. They each have their own specialty in, what their vibration connects with the most and the best. So usually people that, when they think of angels, they immediately think of that are interacting, those that interact with human beings. Mm-hmm. And, mostly those are like the messenger angels that connect with us, our own guardian angels that are those angels that are connected to us personally, connected to, our life's path, our soul's journey, that are guarding us and watching over us. And then, of course, we always think of, the higher ups, with the archangels. We've got the seraphim. I mean, I have this whole list in my head that it's like I'm having trouble remembering them all. I'm like, there are a lot of different hierarchies. I don't know that I would even establish those as hierarchies because it's more about they have different roles. Yeah. Some of those roles are specific to helping human beings here on Earth. Some of those roles are to maintain the integrity of an energy or a vibration in a different dimension. And we have healing angels. We have angels that are here specifically serving humanity. Those are the ones that most people are interested in. Although I have interacted with some angels that are, there are angels, I will say this, there are angels who are not from this earth. They don't even look like human beings. They have a whole unique, they don't even look like they have regular wings. They don't have the traditional feathered, or however the angel decides to present itself to you. And, that's how they do it. They present themselves to you in a way that you recognize, what they are, and even where they're from, if that gives you an idea. And so there are many different angels out there in the universe. I mean, I feel like this could easily be a class on, the different types of angels that there are.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I want to talk about the wings a little bit, but I know Tiffany's got something to add here. She's nodding along, and Tiffany, what in your experience, the different kinds of angels? And I know last time we were on the show, we talked about your Earth angel that came to you. But what do you want to? I know you want to say something. I can see it in your face. So.
I can't really hide my expressions. I've never been good at that, or what I'm thinking.
Hey, I love it. That's a good one.
But well, I think the coolest thing about angels, I don't know if I had mentioned this last time, is that, we all have a mission and a path, and we're here for, a reason to complete this purpose, whatever we signed up for. And I think the coolest thing is when we're assigned angels to come in, and they're going to help us like with that path and with that journey. And also as we evolve, and maybe, we're meant to, the first part of our life, we're helping a certain type of person with a certain type of issue, or, maybe it's like animals. And then we have these really cool angels that are working with us to do that. And then all of a sudden, maybe like our path might change a little bit, and then we get assigned new angels. And I feel like that is really cool. And also when I'm working with clients, I'm doing like a intuitive reading, and I'm like looking at their guides and their angels. If I look around them and I see like tons of guides around them, and or like angel guides around them, I'm like, oh my God, this person is going through a huge transition. And, and I feel like it's so cool. But I love how these angels are assigned to like help us with these specific parts of our journey. And it's just I feel like it's just really helpful. And I feel that people forget to ask for help, or meditate, or connect, or ask for guidance. Or like I'll have my clients get like a deck of angel cards, and I'll say, why don't you just start to connect and journal and ask questions? And it's just really helpful. But to me, that's like the most fun part about angels. It's just their assignment that they can help us with these different cool things.
Yeah. I never actually gave that much thought. I love what you said about as we enter different phases of our lives, we get assigned different angels and guides. Yeah. I didn't really think about that. I guess, I sort of just had this idea of, well, that's my guardian angel, and that's, or like, I didn't even think that as we evolve, and that would make more sense because it's sort of like going through school, and a dear friend of mine calls this where we are Earth School. Yeah. So as we graduate, first grade, second grade, third grade, we get new teachers. So that makes perfect sense that we would actually get a more elevated guide. So yeah, fascinating stuff. Let's see. And I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Furkan Akyel says Merhaba. Let's see. I don't know. That means, okay, maybe that's where they're from, Merhaba. I'm not sure. But anyway, hello, Furkan, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. But anywho, so with that topic of, the different angels being there to guide us, that sort of leads us to the next question. How can we become more conscious of our angels that do guide us? So we know we've got these guides out there, and we know they're kind of like standing, literally waiting in the wings. I wonder if that's where that phrase came. Well, anyway, they're waiting in the wings. That was just a random thought. So how can we actually become more conscious of the angels that are there to help us and guide us? And Jeannie, I'll bounce back to you, and we'll just kind of ping pong. So,
one of my favorite ways to become more conscious of the guidance that you're receiving from your angels is, number one, to realize that they're operating on a higher vibrational frequency than we are. So basically what that means is they're a higher vibration than even our loved ones in our spirit guides, in a sense. So what's helpful is we need to raise our vibration up. So this includes becoming more centered. This includes finding peace within, calm your mind down. I love crystals. Crystals are really great for raising your vibration up, to really, really connect with that. And the thing is that true angels are going to give you guidance that's empowering and typically action oriented. Like, they're going to give you the tools to take action or to understand something with clarity. They're not going to tell you what to do typically, unless there's an emergency and they're intervening and you're getting a huge stop, go this way, or you're feeling that direct, abrupt connection that gives you an action to follow. So there is no, and this is for people who might get stuck on the, am I receiving guidance from a lower vibrational entity versus, an actual angel. Angels don't flatter your ego. They give you direct, real, and practical advice to help you move through your challenges, to move through your life in a way that's healthy and love-centered. It's very peace and calm centered. They will give you the reality of your situation, but not in a way that's going to create drama or fear for you or yourself or others. It's only going to help you get grounded. So raise your vibration up is the greatest way. Inviting them, you have to invite them. They're there, but they won't interfere. They won't interfere. And especially when it comes to communication, they're so respectful of where you are in your journey and what you're learning and what you're going through. They're not going to take away your life lessons. So it's a two-way street. We have to open up to that connection, and they're excited. They're very excited to connect with us, and have that level of communication, with us. And I also say, the easiest way to open up to the subtle energy that's around you, do daily chakra clearing. It's that simple. It's so, so simple. You're clearing out all the sludge from your energy system. You're going to be more highly attuned to those higher vibrations that are guiding you versus those interventional guidance or situational interventions, angelic interventions that are very powerful. It takes an extreme amount of energy for them to do that, but it's very easy for them to do that at the same time. They have the power to do that, but that's not day-to-day practicality. And they are there to help us with our day-to-day journey as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Lots of good stuff in there. It's interesting because they don't sort of interrupt or interfere, but yet they do lend, I guess, aid from time to time, when needed. So that's an interesting dynamic there. It's I guess they sort of just decide, okay, like you said, this is a critical moment, turn here or stop your car or do not, so it's fascinating stuff. Tiffany, what about you? How do you feel like, how would you guide people to become more conscious of their angels?
I would say that it's really about your intent and having, setting an intention to be aware. Definitely the crystals, the clearing, I'm really big with that too. For me, my go-to crystal is going to be selenite. And
sure. Yeah.
So great for cleansing your energy. I feel like when I touch it, my vibration just goes, it's so peaceful. So for me, when I'm trying to go into meditation or connect, that's like my go-to. And to me, just because I'm really empathic, when I feel that crystal, to me that it almost feels like the energy of an angel, just because it's so calming and peaceful. So I would definitely recommend, working with that. But also just, asking, like, I'm really big on asking for signs, asking for guidance. I always put it out there. And for me, a lot of times it's going to show up with numbers. And I get like a lot of repetitious like number sequences. And I've come to learn that for me, certain numbers are going to mean certain things. So for example, like for me, like when I'm seeing like the 11, the 1111 or the 111, it's like the angels are connecting with me, but they're also letting me know that, what you're thinking about right now, you're manifesting that or you're creating that. So what are you thinking about? Or, or like we're supporting you. So I get a lot of like repetitive, numbers. And it's really interesting because like when I see the numbers for me, something will happen. Like if I'm seeing fives, it's like you're going to have a lot of changes happening or something's going to change today. Or if I'm seeing like eights, it's like there's going to be a lot of abundance coming in like very soon. So look forward to that. So it's kind of like a weird like code system, but just like being open to all these signs and always asking for them. Do not forget to ask, because like they're not going to intervene with your free will. They're not going to intervene with you unless it's an emergency. So if you want more of something, you're just going to have to be open to asking for that.
I love it. Gotta ask.
Yeah.
Gotta ask.
Yeah. And we touched on that a little bit a couple weeks ago is, often I think people do forget to ask, and but boy, when you do, the floodgates open. Let me tell you, it's crazy. It's like, just be prepared to hope. When you ask, they come. It's for sure. So. Now about the numbers and the repeating numbers, that's a really interesting thing to me, because, we'll look at a clock and we'll see whatever, 444 or, 111 or, whatever the case may be. And in one way, I look at that like from an intellectual point of, okay, well, it's a clock. So are the angels really out there like messing with electronics? But then again, it's like you can look at it the other way, like, oh no, they're telling me, or they're letting me know with a quiet little nudge to look at the clock at that moment. Yep. to say, hey, we're here, we're watching over you, we're right next to you. So I don't want people to get too hung up on, oh, gee, like the angels have nothing better to do than, manipulate my watch. It's like, so it's not, I think that's an important thing to remember, because I thought about that actually a lot one day. I was like, it's fascinating how sometimes throughout the day you can literally look and see, 333, 666, 777, just at that moment, you happen to look at the clock, and just repeating so many times throughout the day or all week long, you'll see, 3 numbers in a row. It just happened to my nephew. As a matter of fact, this past week, and we were talking about it, and we have a retail shop, and he was making some sales, and he only came in for, I think, 3 hours that day, and he made 3 sales, and from totally different people. And it was 77.20, and then another hour later, totally different items, 77.20, and then like a half hour later, he sold something totally different to someone else, and it was 772. And I told him, I'm like, you need to go play the lottery. I'm like, play those, because like 3 sales in totally different people from all over the world, and bought totally different items, and he got 772 3 times in a row. It was weird. I mean, it was very, very odd. So now, granted, those weren't like 3 numbers in a row, but I think it was enough of a sign to be certainly noticeable. So, so pretty cool stuff there. Now let's go back to, we talked a little bit, Tiffany, a couple weeks ago about your experience with the Earth Angel that came in. And you were in another country, and this person had the suit, the postal worker suit on, and helped you guys potentially prevent a catastrophe. So that was a very special event in your life, and it was so out of the norm that we discussed the whole Earth Angel thing. So let's I want to backtrack a little bit. Earth angels, like, how would you know if you have encountered an earth angel, or perhaps if you know you're even an earth angel. I mean, is it just an automatic knowing, or what are your thoughts on that? And Tiffany, I'm going to start with you this time, and then we'll bounce to Jean.
Okay. Well, I work with a lot of clients, like healing clients and intuitive clients. When I'm doing my readings for people, a lot of them are earth angels, or they have other like starseed energies. But basically, they're a lot of times born into a family where they're kind of like misunderstood, or they're just like different, and they were like kind of born with this light and this desire to help others, and very empathic, like very connected to earth and animals and people, and just always like very loving people, and have a hard time understanding like if people are abusive or mean. It's like they're like, what, and and sometimes a little bit gullible, with people, like always hoping for the best of people, but sometimes getting a little bit burned because maybe these people aren't always like, they're not always seeing like that these people are gonna hurt them in some way. But just like very loving, like I would say like almost Care Bear hearts, like very loving people that have this desire to help others and they can't explain it. And they're the first people to sign up to volunteer. They're the first like if someone's having a problem on the side of the road, they'll stop, or if a child's crying, like they'll help the child. So it's just like this inner desire to be of service to others that can sometimes, I guess, also affect them in a negative way, because they might like sacrifice themselves like in a toxic relationship because they feel like, oh, I need to save my partner or save the person. So it can sometimes end up where it shows up like that, like, but it's a desire to help others and being born like that.
Okay. Fascinating. Now, but do you think that they know, like, do you think that they realize that I am an, earth angel, this is my purpose here? In other words, do they have a different connection sort of with the divine than the rest of us would, or?
They probably need to, definitely being more connected and just more intuitive, more aware. Healing might come naturally, but I feel like these people don't really understand until they meet people like them, or they start reading or being in groups, and they're like, that's me too. And so it's like a wake up call, and they're like, wow, this is not just me, but they know there's something different. They just don't always understand it, I guess, until they meet other people like them or start reading things.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Wonderful. That's amazing. It's so interesting. Jeannie, what do you have to add on this?
I would definitely say right on with it's for earth angels, there is sort of this common denominator of having this level of awareness and this drive in their mission, to the point of then they go through an awakening process where they realize, I am different, I feel different, I don't quite fit. And then they sort of like gravitate towards their like-minded tribe, and they start learning, you know what, I do have a unique connection to myself, with the divine in a way. And I do have a unique desire to heal and to, be of service. Service is the calling. And what I do with people, when they get the sense of like, am I an earth angel? Is what I do is I guide them through the chakra work, actually, to go into their higher heart chakra, which is, above the, below the throat chakra and above the regular heart chakra. This has also been called the angel chakra. And what I do is I guide people to kind of open up to the energy there. And what it does is not only does it give you that connection to that higher vibration of service and of mission, but it connects you to your inner truth of what that is. I've also helped people guide them to their angelic name through the higher heart chakra. It just comes through the vibration of their higher heart chakra. And this includes people who have, I call it divine lineage, or different divine lineages, people who are more galactic, people who are earth angels, people who are mixed in their lineage. And everyone has a unique signature of energy that connects them. And it's something that they will awaken sometimes on their own to what that is, and feel such a strong connection. And that will prompt them to do some deep spiritual searching and study, and it'll lead to more answers.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it too, is the and Tiffany touched on this too, the quest sort of to learn more. You know that some things are going on you don't really understand necessarily, but once you start reading and educating yourself and talking to more like-minded people and delving into things a bit more, than you understand on this. Not even so much. I wouldn't even call it as much of a conscious level as a subconscious level. That there is something profoundly, spectacular happening, and you just have to sort of learn how to make that more tangible in your everyday life. So.
And it may be too that what you're doing too, if you want to look at this from a psychology standpoint, is you're tapping into a powerful subconscious archetype within yourself that allows you to access higher and higher levels of consciousness and awareness. So this has potentially a very powerful tool for people when they're learning to really empower themselves and expand their level of consciousness awareness, that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, all right. One thing I do want to, this time goes so fast. It's unbelievable. It's already 26 minutes into it. But I want to, there's several questions that I have, and we're not going to have time to get to them all, but I want to go way back to the beginning of the show. Which was 20 minutes ago, when Jeannie was talking about wings, okay, and the different forms of different angels. So my question, as just sort of thinking sort of left-brained here, I mean, angels are spirit, angels are energy, angels, they're not like out there flapping around like birds or something. So the question then in my mind is, why the wings? Like, why do they, if they're energy and spirit, why do they appear so often, with the wings? Or is it more just you go back into translations of, of the Bible and, of course, the many different religious texts throughout the world? Is that just a common way for them to appear that they think that we can relate to because that's how our minds have been trained? Or is that legit? Like, do they really have these huge, massive wings? I mean, how does that work? So let's see. Tiffany, I'll start with you, and then we'll bounce to Jeannie again.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that, when beings of light or beings show up to us, like angels or different ascended masters, they can show up in all different forms. I've seen them just as light, as color, heard them as a sound, heard a song, seen them with wings. I mean, these are just the different ways that my gift, my abilities perceive them. So I would say, yeah, I mean, definitely, yes. I mean, I've definitely seen the wings, but I've also seen other things as well, or even just seen, an angel show up, maybe not without any wings, but I could just know, I knew that it was an angel, the energy of what I was getting when I was meditating. So I feel like they show up in a way where we could understand what they are, but it's going to be probably individual to each person.
Right. That was kind of my thought on that. Jeannie, what do you have on that?
There is an energy that they emanate in the vibration that I'm certain that, when people were originally viewing angels, they were like, although that energy emanation coming off that being is so powerful, it's like wings, it's like the vibration and the essence. And they will show up in a variety of forms. And that's why it's so important to teach people how to get a conscious and deliberate working relationship with their ability to sense energy. There's no lying there. There's no lying. It all comes back to your awareness, and you can look at something and go, well, this feels like, and there's no mistaking energy. Energy doesn't lie. So even if you're conflicted on the inside, your body and your ability to feel is already going to be telling you the truth of the situation. Yeah, if that makes sense. So they will show up like different forms with different kinds of wings or no wings, or show up as just a normal person.
Yeah, someone placed. Yeah, because I would think that and I agree with both of you, and I mean, Tiffany, you touched on a little bit too. It would make sense to me that they would appear to us in a form that we would be okay with and we would relate to. My mom, she passed of cancer several years ago, and we had this conversation. I was raised Roman Catholic, and we were at church every week. We're in the youth group, CCD, everything, and but as I sort of got into more learning and spoke with different mediums and different psychics and started to understand that, Catholicism certainly has its things that I absolutely respect. But I found, for me anyway, and I'm not going to get into a religious talk here, so don't send me hate mail, people. But what I'm saying is, I think there's this whole spectrum of things out there that you cannot isolate into one tiny crevice of any type of religion. But having said that, my mom was a devout Catholic, and she had cancer. She was dying of cancer. We knew pretty much that she was going. So we had this whole talk one day about sort of like heaven and hell and the angels and the saints and, all this stuff. And I said, I'm like, Mom, and because she was like, well, how will I know, like, what is heaven? How will I? And I said, I think that heaven is different for everyone. I don't think there's a one. I mean, if you want to use the term heaven, I don't think that there is one, place where you walk through the pearly gates and that's it. I mean, my heaven might be being in a pasture with my horses and my, or someone else's heaven might be surrounded in a room full of children, or, so I'm making the correlation here because I think that in order for us as souls to feel home and welcome, then we have to sort of relate to something that makes us feel safe. I think that the same premise would be true for how these angels and these guides appear to us. They would appear to us in a way that we would feel comfortable and recognize, if you will. So, does that sound about right to you two ladies, since you're the pros?
Yeah. No, that's a whole other conversation about the afterlife. Oh my gosh.
I know. We could do like a year on that one alone.
Oh my gosh. And then I will just say this really quick. We do create our own heaven. Mm-hmm. We do. We get to create our own heaven. Are there some things that are fixed in the same when we cross over? Yes. Are there, but we get to create what we resonate with and what we find as our sacred space, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Tiffany, you're nodding. What do you want to say? Come on.
Well, and the other thing too is, what I, just, going through so many struggles in my life, my intention is that I'm creating heaven on earth now.
Ah, yes. I love that.
Yeah. And the first thing, like, earth is school and all of that. But I also like to say, like when we're learning things, like it's with ease, and I'm creating heaven every day, and I'm bringing that energy into my life because I really want to have more peace and just really feel that lightness, every single day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because really there are so many different mindsets out there, and it's not that one is wrong and one is right. It's just, everybody's different. But I was actually at the mall a couple weeks ago, and I had a gentleman walk up to me, and he's one of these that he walks the mall every morning, and he goes and he passes out these religious flyers, and he'll stand there and he'll talk to you for 2 hours, about Jesus and this and that. And I was like literally, I mean, he's a really nice man, but sometimes I'm like, go the other way, because I see him coming, and I'm like, I've got stuff I've got to do, and I don't have time to talk to him. Well, he walked up to me, and of course he caught me, and I was like, because I didn't want to get stuck by him, but because I knew he was just going to go into his handing me his, scripture and stuff like that, which is fine. Again, like I'm not bashing anything or whatever, but anyway, he said to me, he's like, well, I decided that I today am going to be an earth angel. And I kind of looked at him and I was like, okay, I'm like, where is he going with this? And he says, well, do you know why? And I'm like, no, Dave, I don't know why. Why don't you tell me, Dave. And so he says, he's like, well, today is my birthday. And I'm like, oh, well, happy birthday. And then he held his hand up and he said, don't wish me happy birthday. And I was like, okay. And he said, do you know that birthdays are a pagan holiday? And then I was like, oh, here we go. So he goes through this whole lecture about how births are not celebrated other than the birth of Christ in the Bible and all this stuff. And he says, well, I've decided I'm going to be an earth angel today. And he said, because I've decided that on the day of my birth, I am going to be a blessing to everyone else around me. And I'm going to give them the present of myself. And I just looked at him and I was thinking in my head, well, why don't you do that every day? You know, like it was the first thing I thought, but I didn't even say it because I'm like, I do not want to get in this conversation. I was like just trying to like get away. But I love what you said there about that, Tiffany, because it is, I mean, angel or no angel or whatever, I do think that we are here to spread the light, you know, and to touch others as much as we can. And you ladies are both an absolute representation of that in what you do every day. And you know, I love that. I mean, I love doing these shows with you guys because you're both just such bright energies. And I love learning from you. I mean, it's I find what you say, educational, but really you two meld so well together. You know, you sort of you bounce stuff back and forth really, really well. And I appreciate that for sure. Now we do have a comment here from Wafa, and Wafa is one of our loyal listeners. So thank you for that, Wafa. And this is a pretty interesting story that she's sharing with us. She said here, and I'll just put this comment up on screen. She said, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly, but I remember going through my separation. My kids and I used to see each other, but it wasn't us. So I'm not quite sure, Waffle, what you mean by that, whether you mean like you were separated and then you sort of saw each other in spirit, or I'm not sure quite where you're going with that, only because of, you know, the way it's written. I don't quite understand. But then she says, also a couple of years ago, I was rushed to the hospital, and the next day I felt as if someone sat next to me on the bed and my mattress moved. Now I can say that has happened to me.
Yeah.
Like physically, that has happened to me several times. But I feel it with pets. Like I feel a cat jump on the bed and I'm in the room by myself, you know? So anyway, yeah, if you ladies want to touch on, especially the bed and the mattress thing with Wafa, you know, feel free to jump in. So.
Yeah, when I can definitely relate to the, you know, feeling the mattress moving and the bed moving. There was a time when I was going through really, tough sort of scenario, and there was a lot of anxiety around the situation, and I felt, this was a living person though, I felt my mom come into the room and sit on the edge of the bed, and my whole body moved because it was like one of those mattresses that was old and it had, you know, the sink in the middle of it, and my whole body moved towards her. And I knew she was very concerned about me and she was checking in on me spiritually. And I remember speaking to her, and then all of a sudden I woke up and I'm like, oh, she's not even really here. This is like, I had a moment of like, oh, I'm flipping between different levels of consciousness here. I'm aware that her spirit is here. She's visiting me, even though she's asleep right now. She's checking in on me because that's what moms do. But she's not there physically. And that was, I was very disoriented when I realized she wasn't there. But but it is a real phenomenon, you know, we visit each other. We are each other's earth angels. You know, it's not just the angels. We do that with each other.
I do it with you guys all the time. Like people on BAP, I constantly, like, you guys will like come into my dreams so randomly. And I'm like, what are you doing? How did you get here? You know, that it's just some crazy little thing. And then we'll say a couple words and we'll leave again. And it's a strange thing, but it's nice. It's like, you'll just pop in and out and throughout the night. Hi. So, anywho, my goodness. Well, gosh, I don't know where the time goes to. Tiffany, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that with Wafa and folks coming in and protecting you, sitting on your bed or anything like that?
Well, for me, it happens. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I just feel more of an energy. I'm very empathic, or I might feel like somebody's tapping me or my hair or something. But a lot of, like, for me, one of my earth angels, or really, it's my grandmother who passed away, who was like a mother to me. And for me, it's more that I will, in the morning before I wake up, it's, feeling like I'm sitting with her, and then just like feeling her love, feeling her support. She might tell me things or say things about, my life, or, that you need to know this or that, or you're doing a great job, I love you. And she's a major angel to me. So I mean, absolutely, they can be around you and make things move, but they can also be in your dreams as well, or just like in that state right before you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that sort of what do they call it? It's like that dream, like, well, you're not really asleep. It's sort of that halfway point. Yeah. You're conscious of sort of what's going on around you and all that, but then you're not quite awake. And that's a twilight. That's what I was like. I know there's a name for it. It's the name of that vampire movie. So, oh goodness gracious! All right, well, folks, unfortunately, we are at the top of our show once again. That show flew by. I don't know where it went, but yeah, Wafa comments, it's amazing for sure. So super stuff. Yeah, we do thank all of our listeners for joining us today. I suspect we'll probably have these ladies back. We've got a lot more to talk about, but if and when we do, we'll certainly put that up on our Facebook page. And remember, if you want to subscribe to future shows, just type Spirit in the comments. And actually, we have a bonus show coming up today in another 20 minutes. We've actually got Deborah Livingston. She's another professional psychic medium from Best American Psychics, and she's going to be talking about communicating with animals in the afterlife and sort of like signs from the afterlife from our pets. So we definitely encourage you guys to stay tuned for that, because it's going to be a super fascinating show. And should be a fun show too. We'll have some stories to share of animals that have passed and have presented themselves. So anyway, I just want to say thank you once again to you two lovely ladies, Tiffany Powers, Jeannie Crescenzo. We cannot thank you enough for spending your time with us and helping to educate the public today. Once again, listeners, go check out Tiffany and Jeannie. Book a reading, book a session, book a chakra healing, go talk to your angels, figure out what your past lives were, all sorts of great stuff you can do with these two ladies. So go on in, look them up, and definitely spend a little bit more time with them one-on-one, because they can help you even a whole lot more than this show could. So ladies, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners today? And alphabetical order, Jeannie, I'm going to go to you on this one.
Well, basically my words of wisdom today is to open up to the possibilities of the beings that are around you, guiding you and helping you throughout your life, and open up to maybe incorporating a daily practice or a daily ritual that allows and invites the presence, of those beings and those angels into your daily life and everyday life.
Nice. Yeah. All right. There you go. Tiffany, what do you have for us?
I would say that just to be open to the synchronicities and just be open to seeing what's going on around you, and just be more tapped into that, because you're most likely getting messages all the time, but just be more open to seeing all of that.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, ladies. Well, thank you. You have a lovely rest of your week, and thanks for all the great info and a fantastic conversation. I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. So yeah, we'll see you on the other side. And folks, like I said, we're literally coming back in 15 minutes. So don't go far. Go get a cup of coffee or power drink or whatever, your pleasure. And we'll be back here very shortly. So ladies, have a wonderful time, and I will catch you guys on Facebook. So. All right, guys, we're signing out for this show. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. Bye for now.